Welcome, Kendra. Welcome, everyone. I am so excited to have this conversation today. So the Solopreneur Sisterhood, has our first virtual conference coming up in October of this year. And leading up to it, we have some of these interviews with different contributors. So that way we can get to know you better. And we can also learn more about what you'll be teaching in your workshop. So welcome, Kendra. I'm really excited to talk with you today.
Thank you.
For all of our listeners, I would love to just start by learning more about you. So can you tell us a little bit about who you are and tell us about your business?
Sure. Well, I'm Kendra Harris. Let's start with I'm from Tennessee. So if anybody can't understand me, I am trying to talk a little bit slower and pronounce my words. Like Becky, I'm a former educator. I was a math teacher for 15 years. And when I transitioned into entrepreneurship, I started as a virtual assistant and I'm now an online business manager. And I help overwhelm business owners and I help them streamline operations, build better systems, and basically create the structure that they either don't want to create and don't have time to create themselves so that they can grow their businesses. So the thing that I absolutely love is that I'm still getting to serve in my role now. It is the one thing that I was concerned about when I was leaving teaching, if I would still be fulfilled or not. But it is so cool getting to serve so many different businesses in this capacity. So I absolutely love what I do. And thank you, Becky, for what you have created with the Solopreneur Sisterhood and this conference. I'm so excited about it.
Well, and I'm so excited to have you join us. And I was thinking as I was organizing things for the conference, over a quarter of our contributors are former teachers. So I think it's fascinating how many of us find our way into this online business space. And
Yeah.
I can totally relate to, like, since I was a kid, I dreamed of being a teacher. And so when I first started about thinking about leaving and having my own business, one of my top concerns was, okay, I still want to help people. So I wasn't okay with just having any job. I wanted to do something that I felt made a difference. So I love how you brought that up. I'm wondering for you, what led you to first start thinking about having your own business in the first place?
I really came up with running my own business from going down a few different rabbit holes. And those were me looking for ways to have time back with my family, have a better income. As we know, teachers, we need teachers, right? And so teaching is a very stable income. And when I went into it, I was thinking it was what was best for my family, and it did work for a while, but then it got to where it didn't work and I was really spending a lot of time and a lot of hours and things like that. So I checked out a few different things, and when I found out about virtual assisting and that it was a real thing, I remember running into my husband's room, running into him when he was in the room getting ready, and I was like, I found it. And he's like, you found what? And I'm like, I found what I can do. Like, this is so awesome. It's a thing. It has a name. And so it went from there. I took a really great course and started my business, and the rest is history. I was able to leave teaching a lot sooner than I thought I'd be able to. But the thing that I'd love to share with everybody is I tell this to teachers all the time. Just because you leave doesn't mean you had any less impact when you were there. Because, like you said, a lot of people do get into teaching because they want to serve and things like that. And so the time that you spent there is still very valuable and very much appreciated by a lot of people, whether they say it or not. So I just want to share that with everybody.
Yeah, I think that's such a good reminder. And I think, for each of us, we just have to decide what works best. I know for me, I reached a point where I felt like I was giving most of my energy to other people's kids. And then I was coming home really drained and not being the mom that I wanted to be. And so that's kind of what prompted me to think, okay, long term, this probably isn't going to be what's best for our family. And so that led me to start to kind of reconsider. But, I love your point about it doesn't change the impact we made while we were in that role. And I think we both had that experience too, where even though we're doing different work, we can still be making a difference and helping people just in a different way.
Amen.
Well, so part of what I love about the Solopreneur Sisterhood is that it is the space where I think we genuinely care about each other and we want to see each other succeed. And we can also have really honest conversations, because I know that personally I held myself back a lot in my business because I felt like I had to figure out everything on my own. And when I started to connect with other people and realize, oh, it's not just me, I'm not the only one who's struggling with this piece, or I'm not the only one who's not sure entirely what
Yeah.
I'm doing. It helped so much. And so, in that spirit of just being really open and honest, I'm wondering what is one of the biggest challenges you've had as a business owner, and what helped you work through that challenge?
The biggest challenges I've had a business owner is exactly what you're talking about. It's having somebody to ask, somebody that knows what you're going through or has any idea about the online space or, the business that you're running when you're at home and you're working on your own and, you've met some people, but you don't really have a community yet. It's hard. And a lot of times, when you're first starting out, you don't have the money to join a membership that costs, $500 or even $1,000 a month. And so having people that you can, that generally understand what you're going through and being able to bounce ideas off of them or learn things from them and things like that was a struggle in the beginning. And, when I found out there were people like you, Becky, that have these amazing communities and, other people that are doing the same thing I'm doing, it was so eye opening and so relieving and so many words I can think of. So, yeah, that was definitely one of the biggest challenges. It was really cool being at home by myself, working and the kids at school and stuff for a few weeks until I realized like, okay, it's also kind of lonely here. And what if I have a question about this? Who in the world am I going to ask? So thank you for what you have created to help answer those questions for all of us.
Well, thank you. And yeah, I think you bring up such a good point. When I first started my business, and even really even now sometimes, people in my daily life don't understand. It's weird because you can be so immersed in this online business space that feels like, well, everyone knows this exists. Everyone knows this is an option. And they don't. Like I'll talk with neighbors or something and they nod politely, but they're like, I have no idea what you do. So I think it is so helpful to have other people who are in a similar situation and understand and believe it's a real job and and support you. I think that helps a lot. And I appreciate how you brought up the loneliness too, because I think a lot of people think the freedom to have your own business and create your own schedule, and those are gifts. And it brings up some different challenges that we weren't anticipating. I just spoke with a woman the other week who was saying, I'm finally home and I love it, and I'm really lonely. And so I think that's a common theme as far as, okay, there are ways we can work with this. But I think it helps to have those people that you can reach out to when when you're feeling lonely or when you are feeling stuck or you just need someone to kind of cheer you on.
Yes, I totally agree.
So we have similar backgrounds as far as neither one of us started off in business. I at least never thought I would be in business. I'm wondering if there are any beliefs that you used to have about business or what it took to succeed in business that you no longer believe.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that I believe in myself. Like I never really thought about that as a teacher, I was a teacher. It was what I was always going to do and what I was meant to be, and I didn't really have to think about, believing in myself or trying something new. Like it was always there, and that comfort level is really one of the reasons why people stay where they are. And I'm not knocking the profession whatsoever. I absolutely love and adore my child's teachers 100%. But, some people do want to leave whatever profession that is, and they never get the chance to because they never have the courage to believe in themselves. And I love it. One of my friends, she asked me, she said, what's the worst thing that could happen? When I was
Mhm.
thinking about like, okay, like can I really do this? Like I'm making money, but can I do this? And she said, well, what's the worst thing that could happen? I kind of joked around and was like, I mean, I guess if it doesn't work out, I could go get a job at McDonald's. Like they don't make bad money now. And then I halfway joked around too. I'm like, but any school would take me any time of the year because, not only did I have that, like I believe in my abilities, I believe in myself, and I know I'm a great teacher, but I'm also a math teacher at that. What school system doesn't need a math teacher right now? Even if it's August or, January or whenever. So yeah, I think that's it is just thinking about believing in yourself and what's the worst that could happen. Like, okay, so you go get a job somewhere else for just a little while to make ends meet, and then you figure it out, right? Nobody's going to hurt. We're not heart surgeons here. So, I did it, and I'm so glad that I did, but it was scary. And if anybody else is in that similar position, feel free to reach out to me anytime because I know exactly what you're going through.
I love that. And I love that question too. On kind of what it brought up for me was just, I've said to so many people who are considering, especially being a virtual assistant, was like, if you have this belief, like, I can figure it out, it's going to work out for you. The people that I know who have that belief, like, okay, I've never done that before, but I can learn and I can figure it out. It works out for them. It might take a little bit of time, but they figure it out. And I think that's kind of what sets people apart as far as those who do succeed with it and those who don't. If you're just waiting for everything to come to you, that's probably not going to happen. But if you
Yeah.
have that attitude, like, okay, I can figure it out, and some of that has to do with your belief in yourself, is that maybe I haven't done this before, but I can figure out that next step.
I love that you mentioned that too. Like so many times, even as women, we don't see things that way, but we look at other people and we should be thinking they figured it out. Why can't I? And instead, we sometimes look at other people and we're like, wow, look at what all they figured out. They're great. So, to flip that and say, wow, they're great. They figured it out. I can too. Like, there's no reason why I can't do what they did. And then go do it because, like, what woman out there isn't resourceful? Even if you're not a teacher, you're in other professions, you're doing things with your families. Like, there's so many things that we're great at. Like, everything's figure outable. I just coded something today, and the word code I never thought would ever be in my vocabulary. So there we go.
I love that. And I think too, as we're talking to, part of what I love about the Solopreneur Sisterhood is women in different stages of life and with different backgrounds. I know when I first started out, a lot of the kind of experts I was following, I loved what they were teaching, but a lot of what they were sharing didn't feel practical for me because at the time my kids were really little and I was following women who didn't have kids. Some of them weren't married, like they didn't have those other commitments. Their business was their whole focus. And so it wasn't real helpful for me at the time. And so I really appreciate, for those of you who don't know, Kendra is a mom of 5, which I'm always in awe of. Um, and so learning from women who, like, you do have a lot of things going on in your life and you've still found a way to make this work. I think that's really helpful.
Thank you so much. And yeah, I used that to get my business going too. A lot of people would say, "Oh, you're a teacher? Okay, you're hired." Like I want to work with teachers because they're great. But then when they would ask me things about like, "Well, have you ever managed a calendar?" And I tell them about my 5 kids that played 9 different sports and how many dentist appointments and optometrist appointments and yearly checkups that adds up to a year, they're like, "Oh, she can manage a calendar." So
Yes.
there are so many things that we do as women that we kind of take for granted sometimes when we're thinking about what we're capable of because there are so many transferable skills. It really does transfer, and people do value that and see that.
Yes, yes, definitely transfers. And I think that leads perfectly into talking about your workshop a little bit. So, the title of your workshop for the conference is From Chaos to Clarity: Organization and Task Management Tools That Support Your Business and Life. So, I'm wondering if you can tell us a little bit more about what we'll learn if we attend your workshop.
Yeah, I'd love to. So I love all things organization, and it has kind of been part of me since I was little. I mean, the math teacher piece of me, I'm very organized when I problem solve and things, but I like sharing that with other people. And one of the things that just honestly makes me really great at helping other people with this is my teaching background. I realize that people organize things in different ways, just like they solve math problems in different ways. So there's not a one size fits all solution for everyone, but there are certain things that you can do to make your life easier. And so, with the organization and task management tools that I'm going to be sharing with everybody, they are really to help your business and your life. It is not your business alone because, as you said before, like, we're so much more than business owners. We're moms, we're wives, we have a lot of things going on. And we don't have to fragment and separate that stuff, especially as business owners that get to call the shots, right? So
Hmm.
we can have a task management system and set it up and organize it so that it supports not only our business, but our life as well, because there are so many different things, that we have to take care of. So, what attendees will learn is basically how to set up a simple system that works for them. We can go as in depth as we need to or not. It really depends on the group that's there. But they're going to leave with something that they can begin using immediately to help reduce overwhelm and basically increase their follow through on task, both professionally and personally, and basically just give them back their time to uh, reduce stress, to be able to do other things instead of flipping through their phone and their to do list and everywhere else in the world that we write things down that we need to remember, but then we can't remember where we put the thing that we wrote it down on.
Hmm. Yeah, I think you really understand a lot of us. So I love this topic. I love organizing things. I think that's how we both have the teaching backgrounds and then the
Yeah.
VA, OBM background. But I've been surprised over the years by how many business owners I talk to who don't want to use project management tool. They don't want to get that set up. What are some of the misconceptions you have seen people have when it comes to setting up or using some of these tools?
I think the biggest misconception with setting up task management tools is that word setup. Like there's so much setup and so much that they have to learn and do before they can ever even feel like it's benefiting them. And so that's one of the things that we talk about first is how do we set it up? And we set it up based on your brain. I give a lot of different examples, a lot of different ideas, and it can be as simple as we need it to be, so that you can begin using it immediately. There are also different tools for different people. And while I do love one very specific tool, it's not the only one that I recommend, based on people's businesses and how their brains work. So that's another thing that we can talk about too. But, it's at the end of the day, it's 2026. Tools have come a long way. So I feel like sometimes even people have tried some of these tools back even a couple years ago, and they just have changed so much and they're a lot easier to use and stuff. So that's probably the biggest misconceptions. But I also just want to throw in there too while I'm talking about the change, like the things that you can do on your phone now too. Like so many of us, especially as moms, are active and out with their kids, playing ball and doing different things. And the mobile versions of these task management systems are just amazing too. And they make our lives so much easier. But that's also one of the other things I talk about, not to dive too far into that, but how do we make sure that it's making our lives easier and less stressful and not getting in the way, with it being on our phone and us being on our phone so much.
Hmm. I love that. I love how you talked about there are different tools and you can set things up in a way that works for you. I think that's probably one of the objections I've seen a lot of business owners have is, it just doesn't work for me. It feels like it's extra work. I know for me, project management tools I would credit with allowing me to kind of sign off from my work for the day is because I have a system where everything is saved and I don't have to be thinking about it all the time because I put things in there and I know what I need to do when I need to do it. I know there were times in my business where I felt like I was on all the time because I couldn't let things go. So I know that's been kind of life changing for me. What would you say, if people come to the workshop, they're going to walk away with a system, but what do you think is one kind of transformation they'll walk away with from having this set up for them?
Basically, the transformation they'll walk away with is being able to take the stuff out of their head and put it somewhere. And much to what you just said, like it relieves so much stress when you know that everything is somewhere and you don't have to hold that anymore, whether it's for your business or for your family or for the next holiday coming up or for your kid's appointment or for your client. Just being able to know that that's there and it's taken care of and you're not going to have to worry about losing it, figuring out where you put it, all of those different things. So that's actually one of the things that we'll do in the workshop. One of the first things is identify those tasks. Like what are those tasks and responsibilities that are living all over the place or in their head, and then figuring out, okay, what is a way that we can organize these that makes sense to you, and like let's build it. It's not anything that takes, weeks and months to build. We're going to get it done in the workshop so that when they leave, they have a system ready that they can start using that day. Like they don't have to wait. It's ready. You start using it, and then like the world is yours after that, basically.
I love that so much. And that's why we have the conference set up the way we do, so that it's actually you're coming. I think we've all done that. I definitely did a lot of like listening to webinars, listening to work, or well, not workshops, master classes, and taking notes and being like, okay, I'll go and I'll set that up later. And then I don't do it. So this is intended to be a time where you can actually do the work and get like walk away with something actually created for your business. So I think that's going to be really powerful for people. I don't know about anyone else, but I'm one where I will put things off in my brain because I will say, oh, it's going to take me too long to get that set up. I don't have time right now. And I think this is going to be one of those tasks that you're able to do it in the workshop and then be like, oh, well, now it's working for me. And I don't have to worry about it anymore. So
Yeah, totally. If you want to go to one of these sessions and learn a lot, then there's many sessions to pick from. But if you want to go to one and actually have something that you can use and that you're going to roll your sleeves up in and you're going to work in, then this is it.
yes. Well, I love it. And so I'm looking forward to so many of the sessions and the community in the conference. But I'm wondering, what made you say yes to being a part of this event? And what are you most looking forward to in the conference?
I think the reason that I said yes is just from my own experience, like we were talking about earlier, just not having anybody to talk to in the beginning, like not even really knowing how to find community where, and then when problems arise, who am I going to ask about that and stuff. So, I know some women that are not as outgoing as I am, may not ask and may not seek community as easily as I did. So I want to make sure that I'm out there and like telling people my story, sharing, not just about my business, but about my background, who I am, so that they can connect with me, like see that I'm just a normal person that betted on herself and took off, and now I have this business. But I love sharing and helping other people because, hello, servant's heart here. It's just in my blood. But yeah, just really, I'm excited to do this to help other people, and I hope that it gets them going in the right path to having a lot more freedom and a lot less stress with all of the things that they have to do.
Wonderful. And so, as we wrap up here today, I am wondering if you have one piece of encouragement to offer any solopreneur or even a woman who's considering starting her own business. Anyone who's watching today, what's one piece of encouragement you have for them?
My piece of encouragement is to do it. And if you are doing it, keep going, because it doesn't matter how long you've been in business. I've only been in business for a couple years, but there are going to be bumps and hills and mountains and things. It doesn't matter what you do or who you are. And if there are people that are telling you any different, it's not the truth, but keep going. Seriously, like it's so easy to question yourself and be like, should I even be doing this? Like, what was I even thinking? I've had those thoughts, not as many now that I've been doing it a few years, but it still happens. I'm not going to lie. There's some times when I'll get an email from a client or something will happen and I'll just question myself. So, you just have to have that other part of your brain that kicks in that's like, no, I should be doing this and I'm going to keep going, and great things are going to happen. Because if you stop or if you don't ever start, obviously, it's not going to happen. So just keep going. I know it sounds really simple, but it is really hard to do sometimes when bad things happen or we have those little mountains we have to climb. So
I think that's such a good point because I will say, looking back on my own experience, I stopped myself so many times along the way because I was in that period of self doubt and questioning. Because I think we have it in our heads like this should be easier, or we shouldn't run into those kind of roadblocks along the way. We should know what we're doing. And so that self doubt can be tricky. And so I think that's really important advice. Just keep going, because I also believe that's one of the things that sets people apart between those who succeed and those who don't is those who succeed just, they definitely have those challenges, but they just keep going and keep finding their way forward.
I
So thank
agree
you
with
for
you
that.
100%.
Okay. Well, Kendra, it's been wonderful talking with you today. For anyone watching us, if you want to learn more about Kendra's conference or Kendra's workshop or join us for the conference, we have a link for that with this video, and we'd love to have you join us. Again, thank you so much, Kendra. It's been wonderful talking with you today.
Thank you so much.